At 50 years old, Lauryn Hill is stepping away. Not with a big tour. Not with a final album rollout. Not even with a press conference. Instead, it came quietly. A recorded message. A few minutes long. Her voice, calm, steady, and very clear. For fans who had followed her for decades, it didn't feel like a publicity move. It felt final. That's what made it hit harder. For years, people had been asking the same question. Where is Lauryn Hill? She would appear on stage, disappear again, cancel shows, come back unexpectedly. There was never a clear pattern. Some called it inconsistency, others called it mystery, but no one really knew what was going on behind the scenes. And then suddenly she spoke. She didn't try to explain everything either, but what she said was enough to stop people in their tracks. Because it sounded like someone closing a chapter for good. Fans weren't ready for that. This is someone who helped shape an entire generation of music. Someone whose voice carried emotion in a way that felt personal, almost private. Her work wasn't just popular. It meant something. And for a lot of people, it still does. So when she says goodbye, even quietly, it doesn't go unnoticed. But to understand why she made this decision now, at 50 you have to go all the way back. Back to before the fame, before the pressure, before the silence. Lauryn Hill was born on May 26, 1975, in East Orange, New Jersey. Her home wasn't filled with industry connections or music executives. It was simple. Her father worked as a computer consultant. Her mother was an English teacher. There was structure, discipline, and education. But there was also music. Not in a professional sense, just in everyday life. Her parents loved singing. They played records around the house. Old soul, classic R&B, gospel. It wasn't something formal, but it stuck with her. She listened closely. She paid attention to how voices carried emotion. Even as a child, she wasn't shy about performing. At school, she stood out quickly. Teachers noticed she had confidence, but it wasn't loud or attention-seeking. It was steady. When she got on stage, she didn't look nervous. She looked focused. There's a well-known moment from her teenage years when she performed on Showtime at the Apollo. The crowd actually booed her. It happens sometimes on that stage. Audiences are tough. Most young performers would freeze or walk off. She didn't. She kept going. That moment didn't make her famous. But it showed something important early on. She wasn't easily shaken. Back in school, she balanced everything. Good grades, activities, music, acting. She didn't drop one thing to chase another. She kept all of it moving at the same time. But music was always there, quietly becoming the center. She started writing at a young age. Not just lyrics, but thoughts, observations, feelings. She paid attention to people, to tone, to what was being said, and what wasn't. That's where her style began. Not flashy, not overly technical, just honest. By the time she reached her late teens, it was clear she wasn't heading toward a typical path. College was still an option. A stable career was still possible. But something else was pulling her. Something bigger. Before music fully took over, Lauryn Hill stepped into acting. She landed a role on As the World Turns, one of the longest-running shows on television. It wasn't a huge role, but it gave her experience. It showed her what it felt like to work in the industry. The schedules, the expectations, the pressure to perform consistently. She handled it, but something didn't feel complete. Acting wasn't enough on its own. Around that same time, she connected with two other young artists, Wyclef Jean and Pras Michel. Together, they formed a group that would later be known as the Fugees. At first, it didn't look like success. Their early days were rough. They performed in small venues, struggled to get attention, faced rejection from labels that didn't quite understand their sound. They weren't easy to categorize. Not fully hip-hop, not just R&B, not mainstream enough at the time. Their first album didn't take off the way they hoped. That kind of start can break a group. Financial pressure builds. Doubt creeps in. People start questioning whether it's worth continuing. But they didn't stop. Lauryn's role in the group was different. She wasn't just singing hooks. She was writing, rapping, shaping the sound in a way that stood out. Even early on, you could tell she wasn't trying to fit into a box. She brought something raw, something real. As they kept working, things slowly began to change. Their sound got tighter. Their identity became clearer. People started paying attention. Not all at once, but gradually. Behind the scenes, though, things weren't simple. Creative differences, personal relationships, pressure to succeed. All of it was building at the same time. And just as things were starting to come together, everything was about to change. Everything changed with one album. When the Fugees released the score in 1996, no one expected what would happen next. The album didn't just do well, it exploded. Suddenly, they were everywhere. Radio stations played their songs on repeat. Music videos ran constantly. Crowds got bigger. Interviews started piling up. What had been a slow, uncertain climb turned into a straight jump to global attention. For Lauryn Hill, it happened fast. One minute she was still trying to prove herself. The next, she was one of the most recognizable voices in music. Her presence stood out immediately. It wasn't just that she could sing or rap, it was how she delivered everything. There was control in her voice, but also emotion. She didn't sound like she was performing for attention. She sounded like she meant every word. Songs like Killing Me Softly didn't just showcase talent, they created a connection with listeners. People didn't just hear the music, they felt it. But behind that success, things were already shifting. Her relationship with Wyclef Jean became complicated. What started as a creative partnership turned personal, and then tense. Working together became harder. Small disagreements turned into bigger ones. At the same time, the pressure kept growing. The industry wanted more. More appearances, more interviews, more performances. There was less space to breathe, less time to think. The group itself started to feel that weight. Different ideas about direction. Different expectations for the future. Success didn't bring stability, it exposed cracks that had been there all along. By the time the world fully recognized what the Fugees had become, they were already pulling apart behind the scenes. And in the middle of it all, Lauryn Hill was starting to feel something change. Fame wasn't what she expected. After the success of the Fugees, most people expected more group projects. That didn't happen. Instead, Lauryn Hill stepped away and started working on something personal. Not just another album, but something that reflected where she was in life. That project became the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. The process wasn't easy. She wasn't just dealing with professional pressure anymore. Her personal life was changing too. Her relationship with Wyclef had ended. She was going through emotional shifts that were hard to explain, even to herself. At the same time, she became a mother. That changed everything. Her focus wasn't just on music anymore. It was on life outside of it. Responsibility felt different. Time felt different. The way she saw the world started to shift. And all of that made its way into the album. She wrote from a place that was honest, sometimes uncomfortable. There was love. There was pain. There was confusion. There was clarity. It didn't feel polished in the usual industry way. It felt real. When the album was released, the response was immediate. It connected with people in a way few albums do. Critics praised it. Fans held on to it. Songs from the album became part of everyday life for a lot of listeners. It wasn't just popular. It stayed relevant. Then came the awards. At the Grammy Awards, she won multiple major categories in one night. It was historic. The kind of moment artists spend their whole careers chasing. From the outside, it looked like the peak. Everything she had worked toward, success, recognition, influence, it was all there. But behind that moment, something else was happening. The higher she climbed, the more isolated it started to feel. Winning at the Grammy Awards should have felt like validation. Instead, it came with weight. After the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, expectations didn't just rise, they multiplied. People didn't want another album. They wanted something just as powerful, just as impactful, just as successful. That kind of pressure doesn't leave much room to breathe. Every move started getting attention. Every decision got analyzed. Interviews became less about music and more about her personal life. People wanted answers. They wanted access. And slowly, she started pulling back. Privacy became harder to maintain. Even small moments turned into headlines. It wasn't just about creating anymore. It was about managing how everything was seen. That shift changed things. She began questioning the industry itself. The way artists were treated. The expectations placed on them. The lack of control over their own work, their own image. Trust became an issue. Not just with the industry, but with people around her. There were disagreements over credits, over contributions, over ownership. Legal tensions started building in the background. At the same time, the connection she once felt with performing began to change. It didn't feel as simple as stepping on stage and sharing music. It felt like something else, something heavier. Fans noticed the distance. There were fewer appearances, longer gaps, less communication. Some people thought she was stepping away by choice. Others thought something was wrong. The truth was more complicated. She wasn't just leaving the spotlight. She was trying to understand what it had done to her. After the peak of the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, something unusual happened. She didn't follow it up. No quick second album. No major press run. No clear next move. Instead, there was silence. At first, people assumed she was taking a break. That made sense. The success had been overwhelming. Anyone would need time after that. But the break kept getting longer. Months turned into years. Fans started asking questions. Where is she? Is she still making music? Is she done? Rumors filled the gap. Some said she had walked away from the industry completely. Others said she was dealing with personal struggles. There were stories about creative burnout, about pressure, about conflicts behind the scenes. Very little was confirmed. Lauryn Hill didn't respond to most of it. When she did appear, it was brief. A performance here. A statement there. But nothing that fully explained what was happening. Then came something unexpected. In 2002, she released MTV Unplugged No. 2.0. It wasn't what people expected. There were no polished hits. No radio-ready tracks. It felt raw. Almost unfinished. Just her voice, a guitar, and long, unfiltered thoughts between songs. Some listeners didn't understand it. Others saw it as the most honest thing she had ever done. She talked openly about pressure. About losing herself. About feeling disconnected from the version of her that the world had built. It wasn't comfortable to listen to, but it was real. After that, the silence returned, and this time it felt deeper. Over the years, more issues surfaced. Legal problems, financial trouble, a tax case that made headlines. It surprised a lot of people. This was someone who had reached the top, and now she was dealing with something completely different. Public opinion shifted. Some people criticized her. Others defended her. But again, she didn't engage much. She stayed mostly out of the spotlight, appearing only when she chose to. And during all of this, one thing became clear. The industry she once dominated no longer felt like a place she wanted to fully belong to. When Lauryn Hill did return to the stage, it didn't feel like before. There was no big comeback announcement. No structured rollout. She just appeared. Tours were announced. Shows were scheduled. Fans rushed to get tickets. For many, it was a rare chance to see someone they had only heard for years. And when she was on stage, the connection was still there. Her voice still carried that same emotion, that same intensity. The music still meant something, but everything around it felt different. There were frequent delays. Shows starting late. Sometimes hours late. It became a pattern that people started talking about more than the performances themselves. Some fans were frustrated. Others didn't care. They were just happy she showed up at all. Criticism grew louder over time. Headlines focused less on the music and more on the unpredictability. Questions started again. What's going on with her? But if you looked closely, there were signs. She wasn't following the industry's rules anymore. Her performances weren't structured the same way. Songs were rearranged. Tempos changed. Delivery shifted. It wasn't about recreating the past, it was about doing things on her terms. And that didn't always match what people expected. There were also moments where she spoke directly to the audience. Not in a scripted way. Just honest, sometimes uncomfortable truths about the industry, about pressure, about identity. It didn't feel like a typical concert. It felt like someone still searching for balance. Fans who stayed with her understood that. They weren't just there for nostalgia. They were there for her as she was in that moment, even if it was different from before. But even with those returns, there was still a distance. She never fully came back into the system. She moved around it. And over time, it started to feel like she was slowly stepping further away, even while still showing up. Something was building again. And this time, it wasn't about a comeback. It was about an ending. There was no warning, no countdown, no teaser, no announcement leading up to it. Then one day, it appeared, a recorded message from Lauryn Hill. Just her voice. No music behind it. No edits. No dramatic tone. It sounded simple, almost like she was speaking to one person instead of millions. That's what made people stop and listen. She didn't open with a goodbye. She didn't even say she was leaving right away. Instead, she started talking about time. About how long she had been doing this. About how much had changed, and how much had stayed the same inside her. Her voice was steady. Not emotional in the way people expected. Not breaking. Not angry. Just calm. She spoke about the early days. How music felt before everything became structured and controlled. When it was just expression. Just connection. Then she shifted. She talked about the cost. Not in a dramatic way. Not blaming anyone directly. But she made it clear that the weight had been building for years. The expectations. The pressure to repeat something that couldn't be repeated. The constant demand to give more, explain more, be more. She said something that stood out immediately. That people fell in love with a version of her that she no longer recognized. That line spread fast. Fans replayed it, shared it, tried to understand what she meant. Some took it as frustration. Others heard something deeper, like someone who had been carrying that thought for a long time. She didn't go into every detail. She didn't explain every absence or every controversy. But she did say this felt like the right moment to step away. Not out of anger. Not because of one event. But because she no longer felt aligned with what the industry, and sometimes even the audience, expected from her. Near the end of the message, she thanked her fans. Not in a rehearsed way. Not like a closing speech. It sounded real. She acknowledged the people who stayed. The ones who didn't just follow her during the biggest moments, but also through the silence, the confusion, the inconsistency. And then, without stretching it out, she said goodbye. No dramatic pause. No music swelling in the background. Just a quiet ending. And that was it. When someone steps away at the peak, people question it. When someone steps away after years of distance, people try to explain it. But with Lauryn Hill, it wasn't one clear reason. It was layers. Years of pressure don't disappear. They build. From the outside, her career looked like a success story. One of the most respected albums of all time, global recognition, historic moments. But inside that success, there were things most people didn't see. The pressure to follow the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill never really went away. It stayed in the background. Every appearance, every performance, every question about new music, it all pointed back to that one moment in time. And that can feel like being stuck. Not moving forward, just being compared to your past over and over again. Then there was the industry itself. Contracts, expectations, control. She had spoken before about feeling restricted, about not fully owning her work the way people assumed she did, about systems that didn't always respect artists as individuals, but more as products. That kind of environment wears on you, especially if you didn't come into it chasing fame in the first place. Over time, it changes how you see everything. Then there's the personal side. Motherhood, family, growth. Life outside of music kept moving. Priorities shifted. The things that once felt urgent didn't feel the same anymore. And when that happens, staying in a space that demands constant output becomes harder. There were also the public moments, the legal issues, the criticism, the headlines. Each one added weight. Each one shaped how people saw her, whether it was accurate or not. And through all of it, she stayed mostly quiet, not correcting everything, not explaining everything, just carrying it. By the time she reached 50, the decision didn't come from one breaking point. It came from accumulation. Years of holding tension between who she was and who people expected her to be. Years of trying to exist in an industry that didn't always match her values. Years of being remembered for something she couldn't, and maybe didn't want to, recreate. So when she spoke in that final message, it wasn't sudden. It was the result of everything that came before. Not a dramatic exit. Not a collapse. Just a decision that had been forming quietly for a long time. And when she finally said it out loud, it surprised everyone. Even though, in some ways, the signs had been there all along. So what do you think about Lauryn Hill stepping away at 50? Do you think this was something she's been planning for years? Or did something finally push her to make this decision now? Let me know what you think in the comments. If this story meant something to you, hit the like button and subscribe for more real, unfiltered stories about the people behind the music. We don't just talk about fame, we talk about what it really costs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.